Hi there. I'm back and I'm ready to talk about Nintendo. Pretty excited about the Nintendo Switch 2, and I'm sure that a lot of you guys are as well. Let me know if you have any questions. Not sure if anybody remembers me because I've been gone for a long time, but if this goes well, I may very well get back into um, get back into this. I had a lot of the past few years. It just hasn't really worked out with my work schedule and my life schedule to do this, but the timing seems to be working out pretty well for me now. Um, so, what's changed? I mean, since the last time I put up a video, the Nintendo Switch has really been a dominant system, and it's basically, you know, I would say it's basically been what I've expected it to be. I would say, a little bit disappointed. I sort of expected a little bit more games from Nintendo, first party, than what we've actually um, received. But I think they have been, focusing a lot on um, quality, and they don't really have as many lower budget games than I thought they were going to have. I was picturing that they were going to have like all of the Nintendo handheld division games and keep that volume up the way that it had been, and all the console games volume and keeping that up. But I think they've kind of like merged those two ideas into almost all the games that they make, and I guess they just haven't felt the need to pump out as much volume as I was expecting. So I'm hoping, though, that in the next generation they're going to, they're going to create some new IPs and go back to some franchises that we haven't seen for a while, just to get a little bit more variety from Nintendo's first party. But honestly, like, it's what I'm really excited about is everything I'm hearing about the Switch 2 is that the Switch 2 is going to be uh, not so much a super powerful system as it is a system that has a very high level of performance. Um, the What is being said is basically that the Switch 2 is going to be somewhere around PlayStation 4 in raw power, but it's going to be much more modern. The CPU would be much higher than the PS4, and the raw graphics power is probably somewhere around PS4, but it's going to be like I'm not just saying it's like just like a little bit of a more modern architecture. It's going to have very cutting edge features that nobody else has because they're not partnered with NVIDIA, and NVIDIA has the DLSS technology, and most of the latest features that you see on PC are going to be available on the Switch 2. So what does that mean? That means that the Switch 2 is going to be capable um, of essentially uh, running games at 720p or 1080p, but um, outputting the graphics in something that looks like 4K due to the um, the AI deep learning upscaling technology that they have through their partnership with NVIDIA. So the end result is going to likely be that the games look very similar to what you see on PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. Um, I think that in some ways it's actually going to be better than their competitors, particularly in terms of ray tracing. The ray tracing technology that the system is going to have is going to be vastly superior to what the technology that Xbox and PlayStation have. But I think there will be, like, when it comes to head to head, they'll probably lose in most ways, but there'll be typically like maybe one way where they win, and but I think they'll be, generally speaking, in the same ballpark with the competitors, um, and that's a monumental change for Nintendo. This is going to be the most competitive system that they've had since probably the GameCube, but I think it's going to get a much better third-party support than the GameCube because, for one, uh, the tools that NVIDIA is going to create is going to make it very easy to port games to the system. And they're coming off of a massive success in the original Switch. And there was a tremendous desire from third parties, even in terms of M-rated titles, to bring them to the Switch. But the problem was that they kind of ran out of titles that could be ported to the Switch without too much of a downgrade in the performance and graphics, that it would have maybe done some harm to the certain franchises to make those games for Switch. But you saw the desire, right? You even had situations where there were several games that were brought over in a streaming capacity because the desire was there to bring games like Red Dead Redemption and bring games like Resident Evil to the Switch, but they either didn't want to go to the effort of porting it because it would have been a very difficult job, or they just simply didn't want to release the game in a state that had maybe like frame rates below 30 frames per second at time and super low resolution, etc. So the desire was there. We also had very good sales from games like Elder Scrolls, among others, and that's considering that there was no graphical parity with those titles. So many Nintendo fans, they own other systems. They already own that title, or they had the option of buying a lot of these different third-party games first on other platforms and with better graphics. So now insert a system where Nintendo fans, for the first time ever, I would say the first time since Super Nintendo, that's how good the third-party support is going to be on this system, where a lot of games are going to be at or near graphical parity to their competitors, and the games are going to be available day and date on this system. And in that scenario, a lot of Nintendo fans are going to buy those games on their favorite console rather than having to buy the games on PC or PlayStation. It's really going to be a changing landscape here for Nintendo, and not a lot of people are talking about it. But like, I know when I get together with gaming friends, it's always like people are fine these days with talking about Nintendo. It's not like if they're a PlayStation fan, let's say, they're okay with talking about Nintendo, and it's like, oh yeah, they get a Nintendo as a side system and they buy it to play Zelda, etc., etc. But it's not like part of the overall conversation in terms of fanboy battles. All the fanboy battles are between PlayStation and Xbox, because Nintendo is viewed as being not competing directly with those two. But that's going to change. Nintendo starts getting 70%, 80% of the third-party ports day and date and near graphical parity. Nintendo fans are going to enter the fray again and start talking about how their system is the best system to own. And this is not a side system. This is a system that you can buy instead of an Xbox or instead of a PlayStation. So I'm very much, I'm very excited about this system. Unfortunately, we're going to have to wait a while before we get our hands on it. But I think probably by all reports, we're looking at the second half of next year. It's still possible that it could be uh, it could be coming out sooner than that. Maybe March at the absolute earliest, but I think it's probably, unless this thing gets announced here in the next few weeks, we're probably looking at a second half of next year launch for that system. And I can't wait to buy it. So hopefully, send me some comments. Let me know if anybody's still out there that remembers me. If you want me to continue making content, I would love to do that. And take care.